Hey all, welcome to my next video, martial artsy video. Just covering the basics. This one's going to be on the thrust. I thought about doing it with the spear, the rapier, the two-handed sword, and the arming sword. The truth is that once I show you what it does with a spear and an arming sword, it's pretty much going to be set. So again, I'm using my lovely Purple Heart Armory waster, my Norman sword or arming sword, exactly what they call it. It's got the lovely, see if we can get there really close, little script there. They had it on sale. Cherry wood, pommel, hickory. I just love the heck out of it. It's the prettiest piece of art I own, and I do use it for pelt work sometimes, because like Purple Heart would probably be upset if I didn't. So the thrust. I swear to God, when I was watching The Mask of Zorro, there's a scene in there in which he lines up. He lines up and goes, "Yes, let's do this." And the master looks at it and he goes, "Do you know how to use that thing?" And he goes, "Of course." The pointy end goes into the other man. And I went, "That's it. That's a lot of sword work. That's spear work right there. Take this, put it there." And that's pretty much all you have to do with a sword or a spear or whatever. You can just expound on it ad infinitum. But if you take this and you put it into the other guy, there you go. Now, with thrusts as opposed to cuts, if you were doing this for real to kill somebody historically, there are various places that you could hit. For example, the kidney might be an immediately incapacitating shot, the heart, the throat, the eyes, the crotch, strangely enough, because the blood vessels will be secondarily incapacitating. Now, by immediately incapacitating, what I mean is, will they die immediately? Maybe, maybe not, but they will shortly die. You don't want to push it too far. I'd say no more than about that into a guy, basically, if you're hitting into the organ and through it. Once you've gotten through the organ, say to the back of the man's skull, any more and you might get stuck. If you thrust this much through a guy, there we go, then he's going to grab it and he's going to try and mess up your day. There's an article in Spada 2 about a man who took a sword cane right through the gut, thought it was funny, went to the ER 6 hours later when the alcohol wore off from the party he was at. So thrusts are not immediately always incapacitating. Strangely, they can be incapacitating in odd ways. I read about a rapier duel in the 1600s, where a man took a rapier through the palm, through the carpal tunnel, through the forearm, and out the other side. And he ended up like this, and he screamed, tried to drop his sword, and jerked up, ripped his opponent's sword out, and was screaming with the sword literally stuck right through his arm. And the guy decided the point of honor was settled, and they moved on. So the thing about thrust is that you don't want to get too far balanced. It's a little hard to show here, but basically, if you're balanced on the balls of your feet, then you sort of don't want your balance to go over that, okay? You notice that in the very deep lunges, their balance is still over their feet. If you balance too far forwards, you can fall forwards. This has happened. Anyone who says they've done this and not had it happen is somewhat lying. You can punch, same idea with a punch. When you throw the punch, you really want to lunge out there. You do this, you can fall forwards. So you want to keep that, you thrust forwards, you're going to bend slightly, and your butt's going to come backwards. Your balance should stay over your feet. Somebody once said that, if you're standing, that your balance can go between the ball of one foot and the heel of the back foot. The forefoot can be the ball and the heel can be the back, and that's sort of the extreme limits of where you want to be. You actually want to be somewhere just inside the ball of the forefoot and the ball of the rear foot. And so what you do is, like so, okay, imagine that this is from the hip. You thrust straight forwards. From the side, you thrust straight forwards. See? And you can do that from the top you can do that underneath. So you can thrust from the top and thrust underneath. It's very simple. If you're using a broadsword and your match turns into two knitters looking like they're going at each other, which was described, by the way, in an SCA fight, two squires that learned how to thrust effectively on the same day. They both had the epiphany on how they could effectively thrust, and they sat there going. So their knight, this is the SCA thing, their master, the guy teaching them, their shidoshi, their you got to fill your word in here, dude, looked at them and said, you're no longer allowed to thrust for the rest of the fight. I'm stopping this sewing machine-esque sparring session. But the thing about a thrust is you don't want to overcommit. So let me show you overcommit. This is the thrust. This is an overcommit. You overcommit and you don't get the guy, he's going to go right past it and he's going to get you. Unless he bounced way far out of range. So, same idea with a spear. Here, thrust, or two-hand, I thrust, same idea to the side, thrust, or both hands, thrust, same idea. You don't want to get your feet overcommitted. You want to keep your balance good. For the sword, you want to be able to thrust the face, then here, then I've thrown a thrust where I literally started as a cut. From here, I threw a thrust and I went here, and I thrust up into the other guy's eyes. Just keep it simple.